As we do in every season, we're going to take a look at a handful of players in this video whose teams should strongly consider parting ways with for various reasons. Players that either don't want to be there or aren't particularly wanted on the roster by their own teams. And yes, that means that Evander Kane is featured in this video. And with that, here are 5 NHL players whose teams should give up on them for good. In early December, Matt Murray was subject to a drastic, sudden change, as he was sent down to the Senators' AHL affiliate in Belleville indefinitely. But this was far from the expectations that GM Pierre Dorion initially had for the two-time Stanley Cup champion. After signing Murray, however, to a sizable 4-year contract valued at $25 million, it then became apparent that his game had regressed greatly since his magical stint between the pipes in the Steel City. As Murray, throughout his 33 games played with the Senators, currently sits below the .900 threshold with a .892 save percentage and is also sporting a 3.35 goals against average. Now obviously for Murray, the road since arriving in Canada's capital hasn't been an easy one to travel, as the number 30 has faced injuries and has had COVID as well that have set him back in the crease. And the Senators also haven't exactly been a Stanley Cup contender themselves for the past few seasons. But looking at Philip Gustafsson, for instance, or even Anders Nielsen, who have been playing behind the exact same team, well, their numbers paint a picture that don't exactly help Murray's case. Therefore, after making the move to demote Murray for the time being, in my mind, it's probably best for both parties involved that they turn the page on this field experiment. But even still, there could be hope for Murray's game yet, as the netminder is only 27 and did show flashes of brilliance early on in his career. After drafting him 14th overall in 2015, the Boston Bruins had expectations for DeBrusk to eventually solidify a role within the top 6. But after showing shades of brilliance alongside David Krejci early on in his career, the forward has failed to impress since. Last season, DeBrusk had already seemingly found his way into trade talks, as he was marked a healthy scratch on multiple occasions by head coach Bruce Cassidy. Therefore, after having a rough go of it yet again this season and being called out by Cassidy, DeBrusk officially submitted a trade request in hopes of bouncing back elsewhere. And surprisingly or not, DeBrusk has reportedly attracted the attention of several NHL GMs that are looking for help up front. Among them are the St. Louis Blues, New York Rangers, and the Vancouver Canucks, just to name a few, per Darren Drager. With 7 points recorded thus far after 20 games played on this season, DeBrusk's days in Boston are likely numbered from here on out. And yes, it's the curious case of Evander Kane, a rare type of spectacle that's been a hot topic more often than not around the league, and for good reason. After tons of off-ice drama unfolding this year, such as bankruptcy, divorce, abuse allegations, and a lengthy suspension, served Evander Kane, after being sidelined for 21 games for forging his own COVID vaccination card, is now suiting up for the Sharks AHL affiliate. After clearing waivers, the Sharks have sent the 2-time 30-goal scorer down to the minors for an indefinite amount of time, with a locker room of teammates at the NHL level that don't reportedly want Kane to rejoin them. It's looking increasingly likely that we could witness the forward suit up for his 5th team here shortly. With 3 years left on his deal, valued at $7 million a season, it's now looking increasingly likely at this point in time that a 3rd team would have to join in order to make Kane's departure a reality. After submitting a trade request last offseason, Vladimir Tarasenko was naturally in the rumor mill over the summer. Similarly to the Jack Eichel situation in Buffalo, Tarasenko's relationship with the Blues organization definitely soured due to disagreements over his shoulder surgeries. Therefore, many have speculated, considering his previous request made, that his play this season has been purposefully stellar with the desire of a trade in mind. And since it has been a hot minute since the longtime Blue revealed his intentions to play elsewhere, The Athletic's Jeremy Rutherford said in an article, and I'll link it below, that his source, that's in the know, believes that the Russian sniper is still standing by his former request currently. With an impressive 19 points in 24 games played this far on the season, Tarasenko is definitely making his $7.5 million cap hit less of a deterrent for prospective suitors. Lastly on this list, we have two-time Stanley Cup champ and well-known hot dog connoisseur Phil Kessel. Since making his way down to the desert from Pittsburgh, Kessel, unfortunately, hasn't come close to his previous point totals he had in Toronto and in the Steel City. To make matters worse, the bait that initially drew number 81 in to Arizona, aka Coach Rick Tocchet, is no longer part of the Coyotes organization. Top it all off with one more obvious fact, in that Arizona is far from being a cup contender, and the case for Kessel's departure from the desert is a pretty strong one. Despite having a no-move clause on his contract, sources indicate that the forward would be willing to waive his clause if the right fit presented itself. To potentially sweeten the deal, hypothetically, as well, even though Kessel does have a steep $6.8 million cap hit on his contract, the actual salary owed is $100 million. Therefore, for a team that's looking to go on a run, acquiring Kessel wouldn't be a huge risk, considering he'll be a UFA this coming offseason.